I did not share the screen. Okay, sorry. I opened it in front of me and I thought I have shared, but I lost it. Okay. Yeah, go on.
Do not rebuke or praise. My voice is clear, right?
Yeah, but you can be a little louder if possible.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, better.
Well, all right. But don't you see you haven't touched on the essential point? That is the course of progression from the separation of task to community feeling. So, first, I separate the task. I think of my task as being up to this point, and everything beyond that is other people's task. I don't intervene in other people's tasks, and I draw a line so that other people won't intervene in mine. But how can one build interpersonal relations with this separation of tasks and arrive in the end at the community feeling that it's okay to be here? How does Adlerian psychology advise us to overcome the life tasks of work, friendship, and love? It seems like you are just trying to confuse me with abstract words without going into any concrete explanation.
Yes, you have hit. Yes. One second. Yes, you have hit on important point. How does carrying out the separating task connect with good relations? That is to say, how does it connect with building the kind of relations in which we cooperate and act in harmony with each other? Which brings us to the concept of horizontal relationship.
Horizontal relationship.
Let's start with an easily understood example, that of the parent child relationship, whether the circumstances are, for example, those of child rearing or of training junior staff in the workplace. Generally speaking, there are two approaches that are considered. One of the method of raising by Rebuke, and the other is the method of raising by praise.
Ah, that's hotly debated issue.
Which one do you think is the better choice? To rebuke or to praise?
It's better to raise by praising, of course.
Why?
Take animal training, for example. When teaching animals to do tricks, you can make. Can you scroll, Mansi? Take animal training, for example. When teaching animals to do tricks, you can make them obey with a whip. This is the typical raising by rebuke way. On the other hand, it's also possible to get animals to learn tricks by holding up rewards for food or saying kind words. This is raising by praise. Both ways can lead to the same results. They learn new tricks, but the motivation for moving towards the objective is completely different. If the animal is doing it because it will be rebuked or doing it because it wants to be praised, in the latter instance, it will come with a feeling of joy. Rebuke only makes the animal wither, but raising with praise naturally allows it to grow strong and healthy. This seems like an obvious conclusion.
Animal training. Animal training is an interesting example. Now let's look at this from the standpoint of Adlerian psychology. In Adlerian psychology, we take the stance that in child rearing and in all other forms of communication with other people, one must not praise.
One must not praise.
Physical punishment is out of question, of course, and rebuking is not accepted either. One must not praise and one must not rebuke. That is the standpoint of Adlerian psychology.
But how is that even possible?
Consider the reality of the act of praise. For example, suppose I praised a statement you made by saying, "Good job." Wouldn't hearing those words seem strange somehow?
Yes, I guess it would put me in unpleasant mood.
In unpleasant. Can you explain why it would feel unpleasant?
What's unpleasant is the feeling that from the words good job, one is being talked down to.
Exactly. In the act of praise, there is the aspect of it being the passing of judgment by a person of ability on a person of no ability. A mother praises a child who has helped her prepare dinner, saying, "You are such a good helper." But when her husband does the same thing, you can be sure she won't be telling him, "You are such a good helper."
You are right about that.
In other words, the mother who praises the child by saying things like, "You are such a good helper," or "Good job," or "Well, aren't you something," is in consequence consciously creating a hierarchical relationship and seeing the child as beneath her. The example of animal training that you just gave is also emblematic of the hierarchical relationships, the vertical relationship that is behind the praising. When one person praises another, the goal is to manipulate someone who has less ability than you. It is not done out of gratitude or respect.
So you are saying that one praises in order to manipulate.
That's right. Whether we praise or rebuke others, the only difference is one of the carrot or the stick, and the background goal is manipulation. The reason Adlerian, one second, where I'm sorry, that's right. Whether we praise or rebuke others, the only,
Mansi, the orientation something changed, so not
uh,
able to see the complete text. Yeah, now
yeah,
it's okay.
uh, where was I? Uh, the reason Adlerian psychology is highly critical of the reward and punishment education is that its intention is to manipulate children.
No way, you are wrong here. Because think of it from the standpoint of the child. For children, it's being praised by their parents, the greatest joy of all. It's because they want praise that they do their studies. It's because they want praise that they learn to behave properly. That's how it was for me when I was a child. How I craved praise from my parents. And even after becoming an adult, it's been the same way. When your boss praises you, it feels good. That's how it is for everyone. This has nothing to do with reason. It's just instinctual emotion.
One wishes to be praised by someone, or conversely, one decides to give praise to someone. That is proof that one is seeing all interpersonal relationships as vertical relationships. This holds true for you too. It is because you're living in vertical relationships that you want to be praised. Adlerian psychology refutes all manner of vertical relationships and proposes that all interpersonal relationships be horizontal relationships. In a sense, that this point may be regarded as the fundamental principle of Adlerian psychology.
Is this something that is conveyed by the word equal but not the same?
Scroll months. Eh? Yeah. Yes, equal, that is to say, horizontal. For example, there are men who verbally abuse their wives, who do all the housework with such remarks as, "You're not bringing in any money, as I don't, so I don't want to hear it." Or, "It's thanks to me that there is food on the table." And I'm sure you have heard this one before. "You have everything you need. So what are you complaining about?" It's perfectly shameful. Such statements of economic superiority or the like have no connection whatsoever to human worth. A company employee and a full-time housewife simply have different workplaces and roles and are truly equal but not the same.
I agree entirely.
They are probably afraid that women will they are probably afraid that women will grow wise, so their situation and start earning more than men do, and that women will start asserting themselves. They see all interpersonal relations as vertical relationships, and they are afraid of being seen by women as beneath them. That is to say, they have intense hidden feelings of inferiority.
So, in a sense, they are getting into a superiority complex in which they are trying to make a show of their abilities.
So it seems. In the first place, the feeling of inferiority is an awareness that arises within vertical relationships. If one can build horizontal relationships that are equal but not the same for all people, there will be no longer be any reason for inferiority complex in to emerge.
Hmm. Maybe I do have an awareness of manipulation somewhere in my psychic when I go about praising other people, laying on the flattery to get in good favor with my boss. That's definitely manipulation, isn't it? And it's the other way around too. I have been manipulated by being praised by others. Funny, I guess that's just the sort of person I am.
Yes, in the sense that you have not been able to break out of vertical relationships. It would seem so.
This is getting interesting. Please go on.
Would anyone like to take over?
Yeah, for me also. Anyone,
Yeah,
please
I
take
would.
over.
I would do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to accompany Suman?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, you can take the philosopher. And Suman, you chose the philosopher, and Maniji, you take the youth, like
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
Manishji,
gender.
what he wants, he may. Otherwise, I'll take philosopher.
Okay, yeah, whatever you both decide. Go on.
Yes, Manishji, what you want?
Yeah, you can go ahead with the philosopher. Yeah.
Okay. The encouragement approach, philosopher. As you may recall from our discussion on the separation of tasks, I brought up the subject of intervention. This is the act of intruding on other people's tasks So why does a person intervene? Here too, in the background, vertical relationships are at play. It is precisely because one perceives interpersonal relations as vertical and sees the other party as beneath one that one intervenes. Through intervention, one tries to lead the other party in the desired direction. One has convinced oneself that one is right and that the other party is wrong. Of course, the intervention here is manipulation, pure and simple. Parents commanding a child to study is a typical example of this. They might be acting out of the best of intentions from their point of view, but when it comes down to it, the parents are intruding and attempting to manipulate the child to go on in the desired direction.
If one can build horizontal relationships, will that intervention disappear?
Yes, it will.
Well, it is one thing if you are just talking about a child's studies, but when someone is suffering right there in front of you, you can't just leave him or her be, can you? Would you still say that lending a helping hand is intervention and then do nothing?
One must not let it go unnoticed. As it is necessary to offer assistance that does not turn into intervention.
What is the difference between intervention and assistance?
Think back to our discussion of the separation of tasks to the subject of a child's schoolwork. As I stated then, this is a task that the child has to resolve himself, not something that parents or teachers can do for him. So, intervention is this kind of intruding on other people's tasks and directing them by saying things like you have to study or get into that university. Whereas assistance, on the other hand, presupposes the separation of tasks and also horizontal relationships. Having understood that studying is the child's task, one considers what one can do for him. Concretely speaking, instead of commanding from above that the child must study, one acts on him in such a way that he can gain the confidence to take care of his own studies and face his tasks on his own.
And that action is not forced?
No, it is not. Without forcing and with the tasks always kept separate, one assists the child to resolve them by his own efforts. It is the approach of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. He's the one who has to face his task, and he's the one who makes the resolution.
So you neither praise nor rebuke.
That's right. One neither praises nor rebukes. This kind of assistance, which is based on horizontal relationships, is referred to in Adlerian psychology as encouragement.
Encouragement? Oh, right. That is the term you mentioned some time ago. You said you would explain at a later date.
When one is not following through with one's own tasks, it is not because one is without ability. Adlerian psychology tells us that the issue here is not one of ability, but simply that one has lost the courage to face one's task. And if that is the case, the thing to do before anything else is to recover that lost courage.
But we are just going around in circles. That is basically the same as giving praise. When one is praised by another person, one becomes truly aware of one's ability and regains one's courage. Please do not be stubborn about this point. Just acknowledge the necessity of giving praise.
No, I will not acknowledge that.
Why not?
The reason is clear. Being praised is what leads people to form the belief that they have no ability.
What did you say?
Shall I repeat myself? The more one is praised by another person, the more one forms the belief that one has no ability. Please do your best to remember this.
Do such foolish people even exist? It is going to be the other way around. It is as a result of being praised that one becomes truly aware of one's ability. Is not that obvious?
You are wrong. Even if you derive joy from being praised, it is the same as being dependent on vertical relationships and acknowledging that you have no ability. Because giving praise is a judgment that is passed by a person of ability onto a person without ability.
I just cannot agree with that.
When receiving praise becomes one's goal, one is choosing a way of living that is in line with another person's system of values. Looking at your life until now, aren't you tired of trying to live up to your parents' expectations?
Hmm, well, I guess so.
First, do the separation of tasks. Then, while accepting each other's differences, build equal horizontal relationships. Encouragement is the approach that comes next.
Okay, somebody want to take up or shall we continue?
I guess you can continue, both of you.
Yeah, okay. How to feel you have value. So, concretely speaking, how does one go about this? One cannot praise and one cannot rebuke. What other words and choices are there?
Think about a time when you have had help in your work, not from a child, but from a partner who is your equal, and you will probably see the answer right away. When a friend help you, when a friend helps you clean your home, what do you say to him?
I say thank you.
Right. You convey words of gratitude, saying thank you to this partner who has helped you with your work. You might express straightforward delight, I am glad, or you could convey your thanks by saying that was a big help. This is an approach to encouragement that is based on horizontal relationships.
That's all.
Yes, the most important thing is not to judge other people. Judgment is a word that comes out of vertical relationships. If one is building horizontal relationships, there will be words of more straightforward gratitude and respect and joy.
Hmm. Your point that judgment is created by vertical relationships certainly seems to be true. But what about this? Could the words thank you actually have such a great power and as to be able to bring back courage? After all, I think I would prefer to be praised even if the words I hear are ones that come from vertical relationships.
Being praised essentially means that one is receiving judgment from another person as good. And the measure of what is good or bad about that act is that person's yardstick. If receiving praise is what one is after, one will have no choice but to adapt to that person's yardstick and put the brakes on one's own freedom. Thank you, on the other hand, rather than be judgment, is a clear expression of gratitude. When one hears words of gratitude, one knows that one has made a contribution to another person.
So even if you are judged as good by another person, you don't feel that you have made a contribution.
That's right. This is a point that will connect to our subsequent discussion as well. In Adlerian psychology, a great deal of emphasis is given to contribution.
Why is that?
Well, what does a person have to do to get courage? In Adler's view, it is only when a person is able to feel that he has worth that he can possess courage.
When a person is able to feel that he has worth,
Do you recall when we were discussing the feeling of inferiority that I spoke of this as being an issue of subjective worth? Is one able to feel one has worth, or does one feel one is a worthless being? If one is able to feel one has worth, then one can accept oneself just as one is and have the courage to face one's life tasks. So the issue that arises at this point is how on earth can one become able to feel one has worth?
Yeah, that is exactly. I need you to explain that very clearly, please.
It is quite simple. It is when one is able to feel I am beneficial to the community that one can have a true sense of one's worth. This is the answer that would be offered in Adlerian psychology,
That I am beneficial to the community?
that one can act on the community, that is to say, on the other people, and that one can feel I am of use to someone instead of feeling judged by another person as good. Being able to feel by way of one's own subjective viewpoint that I can make contributions to other people. It is at that point that at last we can have a true sense of our own worth. Everything we have been discussing about community feeling and encouragement connects here.
Um, I don't know. It is starting to get a bit confusing.
We are getting to the heart of the discussion now. Please stick with me a while longer. It is about having concern for others, building horizontal relationships, and taking the approach of encouragement. All these things connect to the deep life awareness of I am of use to someone, and in turn and in turn to your courage to live.
To be of use to someone, that is what my life is worth living for.
Let's take a little break. Would you like some coffee?
Yes, please.
The discussion of community feeling had become more confusing than ever. One must not praise and one must not rebuke either. All words that are used to judge other people are words that come out of vertical relationships, and we need to build horizontal relationships. And it is only when one is able to feel one is of use to someone that one can have a true awareness of one's worth. There was a major flaw in this logic somewhere. The young man felt it instinctively. As he sipped the hot coffee, thoughts of his grandfather crossed his mind. Well, have you worked things out?
Gradually, but yes, it is getting clearer. You don't seem to be aware of it. But just now, you said something really over the top. It is dangerous. Rather, extreme opinion that just negate everything in the world.
Oh, really? What is it?
It is the idea that being of use to someone is what gives one a true awareness of one's worth. If you put it the other way around, a person who is not of any use to others has no worth at all. That is what you are saying, isn't it? If one takes that to its logical conclusion, then the lives of newborn babies and of invalids and old people who are bedridden are not worth living either. How could this be? Let us talk about my grandfather. He spends his days bedridden at an old people's home. Since he has dementia, he does not recognize any of his children or grandchildren, and his condition is such that he would not be able to go on living without constant care. One simply cannot think of him as being of use to someone. Don't you see? Your opinion is basically the same thing as saying to my grandfather, people like you are not qualified to live.
I reject that definitively.
How do you reject that?
There are parents who refute my explanation of the concept of encouragement by saying our child does bad things from morning to night, and there is never an occasion to tell him thank you or you helped a lot. The context is probably the same as what you are talking about, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So tell me, please, how you justify that.
At this point, you are looking at another person on the level of his acts. In other words, that person did something. So from that point of view, it might seem that bedridden old people are only a nuisance and are of no use to anyone. So let's look at other people not on the level of acts but on the level of being without judging whether or not other people did something. One rejoices in their being there, in their very existence, and one calls out to them with words of gratitude.
You call out to their existence? What on earth are you talking about?
If you consider things at the level of being, we are of use to others and have worth just by being here. This is an indisputable fact.
No way. Enough joking around. Being of use to someone just by being here. That is got to be straight out of some new religion.
Well, for example, suppose your mother has a car accident. Her condition is serious and her life may be in danger. At a time like that, you would not be wondering if your mother did something or anything of the sort. More than likely, you will just be thinking you will be glad if she makes it, and you are glad she is holding on right now.
Of course, I would.
That is what it means to be grateful on the level of being. Your mother might not be able to do anything in her critical condition that would be considered an act, but just by being alive, she would be supporting the psychological state of you and your family and would therefore be of use. The same could be said for you too. If your life were in danger and you were hanging on by a thread, the people around you would probably feel very gladdened just by the very fact of your existing. They would simply feel thankful that you are safe in the here and now and would not be wanting you to perform some direct act. At the very least, there is no reason they would have to think that way. So instead of thinking of oneself on the level of acts, first of all, one accepts oneself on the level of being.
That is an extreme example. Everyday life is different.
No, it is the same.
What is the same about it? Try and give me a more everyday example, please. If you can't, I won't be able to agree with this.
All right. When we look at other people, we are prone to construct our own ideal images of ourselves, which we then detract from and judge. Imagine, for example, a child who never talks back to his parents, excels in both schoolwork and sports, attends a good university, and joins a large company. There are parents who will compare their child to such an image of an ideal child, which is an impossible fiction, and then be filled with complaints and dissatisfaction. They treat the idealized image as 100 points and they gradually subtract from that. This is truly a judgment way of thinking. Instead, the parents could refrain from comparing their child to anyone else. See him for who he actually is and be glad and grateful for his being there instead of taking away points from some idealized image. They could start from zero, and if they do that, they should be able to call out to his existence itself.
Okay, but I would say that is just an idealistic approach. So, are you saying that even with the kind of child who never goes to school or gets a job, but just shuts himself in and stays home, one should still communicate one's gratitude and say thank you?
Of course. Suppose your shut-in child helps you wash the dishes after a meal. If you were to say then, enough of that already, just go to school, you would be using the words of such parents who detract from an image of an ideal child. If you were to take such an approach, the child would probably end up even more discouraged. However, if you can say a straightforward thank you, the child just might feel his own worth and take a new step forward.
That is just utterly hypocritical. It is nothing more than the nonsensical talk of a hypocrite. It sounds like the neighborly love that Christians talk about, the community feeling, the horizontal relationships, the gratitude for existence, and so on. Who on earth could actually do such things?
With regard to this issue of community feeling, there was a person who asked Adler a similar question. Adler's reply was the following: someone has to start. Other people might not be cooperative, but that is not connected to you. My advice is this: you should start with no regard to whether others are cooperative or not. My advice is exactly the same.
Okay, people cannot make proper use of self. I should start.
That's right, without regard to whether other people are cooperative or not.
All right, I'll ask you again. People can be of use to someone else simply by being alive and have a true sense of their worth just by being alive. Is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I'm alive right now, right here and now. I, who is no one else but me, am alive right here. But even so, I don't really feel that I have worth.
Can you describe in words why you do not feel that you have worth?
I suppose it is about what you have been referring to as interpersonal relations. From childhood up to the present, I have always been belittled by people around me, especially my parents, as a poor excuse for a little brother. They have never really tried to recognize me for who I am. You say that worth is something one gives to oneself, but that is just an impracticable theory. For example, at the library where I work, for the most part, my job is just sorting the returned books and putting them back on the shelves. It is a routine work that anyone could do once they have been taught. If I stopped going on work, my boss would have no trouble finding someone to replace me. I'm needed only for the unskilled labor I provide. And if it does not actually matter at all, if it is I who is working there or someone else, or a machine for that matter, no one is requiring this me. In particular, in such circumstances, would you have confidence in yourself? Would you able to have a true sense of worth?
From an Adlerian psychology point of view, the answer is simple. First of all, build a horizontal relationship between yourself and another person. One is enough. Let's start from there.
Please don't treat me like a fool. Look, I have friends and I am building solid horizontal relationships with them.
Even so, I suspect that with your parents and your boss, and with your junior colleagues and other people as well, the relationships you are building are vertical ones.
Of course, I have different kind of relationships. That's how it is for everyone.
This is a very important point. Does one build vertical relationships or does one build horizontal relationships? This is an issue of lifestyle, and human beings are not so clever as to be able to have different lifestyles available whenever the need arises. In other words, deciding that one is equal to this person or in a hierarchical relationship with that person does not work.
One second, please.
Yeah.
Do you mean that one has to choose one or the other, vertical relationships or horizontal relationships?
Absolutely, yes. If you are building even one vertical relationship with someone, before you even notice what is happening, you will be treating all your interpersonal relations as vertical.
So I'm treating even my relationships with my friends as vertical.
That is correct. Even if you are not treating them in a boss or subordinate kind of way, It is as if you are saying A is above me and B is below me, for example, or I will follow A's advice but ignore what B says, or I don't mind breaking my promise to C.
Hmm.
On the other hand, if one has managed to build a horizontal relationship with at least one person, if one has been able to build a relationship of equals in the true sense of the term, that is a major lifestyle transformation. With that breakthrough, all one's interpersonal relations will gradually become horizontal.
What nonsense. There are so many ways I could refute that. Think of a company setting, for example, it would not really be feasible for the director and his new recruits to form relationships as equals. Would it? Hierarchical relationships are part of the system of our society, and to ignore that is to ignore the social order. Look, if you heard that a new recruit at your company who is only 20 or so had suddenly started budding up to the 60 something director, don't you think it would sound pretty far fetched?
It is certainly important to respect one's elders. In a company structure, it is only natural for there to be different levels of responsibility. I am not telling you to make friends with everyone or behave as if you are close friends. Rather, what is important is to be equal in consciousness and to assert that which needs to be asserted.
I'm not someone who can mouth off to my seniors. I would never think of trying. My social common sense would be called into question if I did.
What is senior? What is this mouthing of? If one is gauging the atmosphere of a situation and being dependent on vertical relationships, one is engaging in irresponsible acts. One is trying to avoid one's responsibilities.
What is irresponsible about it?
Suppose that as a result of following your boss instructions, your work ends in failure. Whose responsibility is it then?
Well, that would be my boss' responsibility because I'm just following orders. And he was the one who decided on them.
None of the responsibility is yours.
No, it is not. It is the responsibility of the boss who gave the orders. That this is what is known as organizational accountability.
You are wrong. That is a life lie. There is space for you to refuse, and there should also be space to propose a better way of doing things. You are just thinking there is no space to refuse so that you can avoid the conflict of the associated interpersonal relations and avoid responsibility, and you are being dependent on vertical relationships.
Are you saying I should disobey my boss? Sure, in theory, I should. Theoretically, it is exactly as you say, but I can't do that. There's no way I could build a relationship like that.
Really? You are building a horizontal relationship with me right now. You are asserting yourself very well. Instead of thinking about this or that difficulty, you can just start here.
I can start here?
Yes, in this small study, as I told you earlier, to me, you are an irreplaceable friend.
Dot dot.
Am I wrong?
I appreciate it, I really do, but I am afraid. I'm afraid of accepting your proposal.
What are you afraid of exactly?
The task of friendship, naturally. I have never befriended an older man like you. I have no idea if a friend relationship with such a difference in age is even possible, or if I had better think of it as a student teacher relationship.
Age does not matter in love and friendship. It is certainly true that the tasks of friendship require a steady courage. With regard to your relationship with me, it will be fine to reduce the distance little by little to a degree of distance in which we are not in very close contact but can still reach out and touch each other's faces with our outstretched arms, so to speak.
Please give me some time. Just once more, I would like some time to try to figure things out on my own. Our discussion today has given me much to think about. I would like to take it all home and ruminate on it calmly on my own.
It takes time to gain a true understanding of community feeling. It would be quite impossible to understand everything about it right here and now. Please return to your home and give it some careful thought while checking it against everything else we have discussed.
I will. In any case, it was quite a blow to be told that I never really look at others and I only have concern for myself. You are really a dreadful fellow.
Haha, you can say it in such a happy way.
Yes, I enjoy it immensely. It hurts, of course. It is like a sharp pain that shoots through me as if I were swallowing needles. But still, I enjoy it immensely. It is habit forming. Having these discussions with you. I realized a little while ago that maybe I don't just want to take apart your arguments. I want you to take apart mine too.
I see. That is an interesting analysis.
But don't forget, I told you that I'm going to take apart your argument and bring you to your knees, and I have not given up.
Thank you. I have had a good time too. Come by whenever you are ready to pick this back up.
So, are you done for?
Stop here. No, no, we will stop here, and this we will cover tomorrow. It was a deep reading, and thank you everyone for reading so beautifully and for such a long time. Thank you, Maniji. Thank you, Suman.
Yeah, most
Thank you.
welcome. It's our pleasure
Yeah,
also. Yeah.
thank you, Deepa, and thank you, Viren also. So yeah, so we are opening for discussion now. So yeah, you are all free to share whatever you would like to share. Any insight, anything.
It was a very deep question whether to praise a child or not. And what is the boundary line, the marking line that it is not getting manipulated? That was a big fact for me. Generally, we also observe in day-to-day activities, day-to-day life scenarios, that sometimes the child does not know that he has these abilities, but just we praise them so that they are aware that they can do this. That things I feel really works a lot, and many times I have also experienced this. But here in Adlerian psychology, that it is manipulation. So I feel that intention also matters. But can't conclude.
Yeah, I agree because we are conditioned that way, right? That's how the society operates, and everything is about rewards and consequences. So it's very difficult to not be a part of it, and because
I
that's
can,
what we
yeah,
see and grow up, right?
yeah, I can give example of my daughter. Actually, when she was in fourth, fifth standard, she hated mathematics, and I used to tell her that Yashika, you are very good at mathematics. Just you don't do it. Just you do little by little. And she started this, and now mathematics is her favorite subject. So while reading, I was relating to this that only that little support and praise helped her to know her own potential.
Yeah, even I agree because I feel I also praise my daughter, and when she does something nice and good, and that really motivates her. So, how to go about not praising? Even after reading all this, I have not
Yes,
really
the
been able
question
to
mark here
digest.
can be the alert point can be that we are aware that the child doesn't take it as a used to kind of thing. That should not be there. That I agree.
Yeah, and I also feel like yes, it's very true that it becomes a habit, right? Like, and
Yes.
then you seek validation. So we start seeking validation. We think we are doing good only when we are praised. And if we are not praised, we don't feel satisfied enough. That happens.
Yeah,
Like that approval seeking comes in and things like that. So I've seen that happen in her also, and I feel she's too small now, but I feel does happen, right? Like many people, many of us, we when we work on our inner child healings and things like that, there's so many things like that. Like because we are hurt, we get hurt, or our self-esteem depends a lot on uh, how we are treated by parents or uh, experiences or guardians or elders or things like that. So yeah, I think the society operates on, even in work culture, right? Like even in work there is all reward and consequences. Like you get promotions, you get praises by your bosses, only then you feel ki, okay, yeah, we're doing it good. Otherwise you keep you're kept in the question mark, like you don't know. Like I don't know why, but yeah, this is very true. But yeah, this is something worth reflecting, that how we can operate without praise or rebuke, and with encouragement. Like I like that approach where he just said, like, just say thank you, just say, just express your gratitude. And I think that happens, that does really make a difference. Like it's not like he's, this book overall I feel is a little difficult to digest in the first go itself. But yeah, it's different. At least it's opening our mind up to these concepts. So anyone else, anything else you would like to add, share, any takeaway, any aha moment, any realization along the way as we read through or you heard them read, anything? Please share your opinions. Right, wrong, doesn't matter. Like if there is nothing right and wrong over here, feel free to open up.
Yeah, for me too, I felt that we're always looking for acknowledgement. And in any, even when you're putting in an effort, something around the house also, if you're putting in an effort, you're not, after some time, you feel that need to be acknowledged, which came as a light bulb kind of a moment that you should not feel. And again, I was associated with the philosophy of just being there and living in the moment in that book, uh, New Earth, where the author mentioned that just be there, do that activity to the best. So if I'm not looking for acknowledgement, if I'm just being there, then I am putting it, putting the right kind of effort and right kind of attitude to that. So that is what went through my mind when I was reading it. That I should not be looking for acknowledgement. I am. It's all there in me, and it's up to me to do it to the point to the point of perfection of or definitions that I have to myself.
So again, like yes, I agree. Thank you for sharing that, Sanika. And what I felt now, what I got remembered of is he's talking about this horizontal relationships rather than vertical relationships, right? Horizontal relationships means there is no hierarchy. In vertical, there is someone who is bigger, better, who knows more, whom you should listen to, and someone whom you look down to, or you look like a guiding person or something like that. Like so it's like parent child also, he gave an example of that. But I feel uh, obviously in organizations and everything, the hierarchy still exists. And you cannot, I don't know if there are, I think there are organizations that don't follow too much of a hierarchical structure as of now. I have been working with one or two of such kind where there was not many hierarchies as such. So I remember I had like when I was very young at that time. So basically, and it was an MNC. So basically, when I was given a role like I was just given like a mentor, and that person, because that person was experienced enough, he was my mentor. And I really did not understand who is my boss and who is not, to be honest, because that's how the culture there was. Everyone just played around, everyone just guided one another, everyone just listened to one another because they were experts of that particular roles. But it took me a real long time, like around 6 months or something, to understand hierarchically who is who's boss. It was so equal, like so that was a culture over there. So I feel yes, there are things that are evolving that way, but and I think it also boils down to uh, as they say, right, that it's not like just that we have to teach our kids, but we also learn from them. So it's basically in where we have this horizontal structure, we learn from each other. We don't feel like anyone is above and there has to be their word has to be a final word, but everyone gets the equal opportunity. I think that is what he's talking about. And I feel the society is evolving to that now somewhere. Like I remember earlier at our times, we used to just say like up and all to our fathers, and there was a special kind of respect that was given to all the elders. Like I remember we used to just bring water when they came out from, like, especially men in the family. That was like a ritual. And but now I think it's all dissolved with our generations. I think me, my husband, my brother, and so many of them, like we almost operate as equals. Like there is no gender roles as to that, even only men women will cook and things like that. So it's not maybe fully, but things are getting equalized, and going forward they're going to be more equal because uh, people, like even like the gender this thing is dissolved now because everyone is equal as of now. It's what I feel. This is my perspective. I would love to understand and hear from others' perspective. Please do share. So yeah, just roughly thinking aloud. Yeah, just feel free to share. Anyone else? Anything you would want to add? Yeah, Manish.
Uh, I joined late today, but anyway, I just want to say that, every living being is a energy, right? We are a part of, we all carry some energy with us, and that energy is part of the universal energy, right? And what we do on a day-to-day basis, that is based on our thoughts, and because thoughts has a frequency. So it's just like, where we put our attention, our focus, the attention grows, the energy flows, and things like that. So it's all about, what we believe in, and if we fully focus on that, and this is what we get the output out of it. So it's all about our thoughts and, what we focus on. So, and life is a good balance of vertical and horizontal relationships, because every person, every person is wired differently. So, with that understanding, we have to look at the merit in others, not the faults. Because if we look at the merits and if we work together in a very, you know, in a proper way, we can benefit each other, and so many unexpected ways that uh, we can live a conscious life. So, and then there's no fault in anybody. It's just like it is uh, that we are wired differently, and whatever we are doing today is based on our wiring of the mind till date, right? So as we experience life, and as we understand ourselves more and more with our thoughts and feelings, and we can do better in life in every possible way. So that's what I want to share. Yeah.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, very true. Yeah, I like how you said that the life is a balance of horizontal and vertical relationships. I do agree. And but somehow in this book, I don't say that we have to follow and accept everything that is said in the book to the T, and it won't happen as such. It just raises our awareness and opens our mind up to these concepts when we read. But in this book, they say they I remember this one thing where they have mentioned that there is if there is only one relationship that is vertical, like where you see the vertical, it's natural that you see all the other relationships that when he explains about it. So I don't know, like if I can really agree upon that as such, but yeah, that I just remembered that there was one point like this. So yeah, maybe we can just read through it again and maybe understand it better. I just felt like I should go back to it. So yeah, anything else? Anyone else wants to re-highlight or something, or otherwise we can just call it a day and we'll catch up tomorrow with a new night, the final night, fifth night. And I think this is also interesting. I think it talks about work and all. I just scrolled through and I just saw. So it's interesting. Looking forward to it. Maybe next 2 days we'll finish, or maybe even tomorrow we'll finish it off. Let's see how it goes. Is everyone done with their shares?
I would
Anything you
like
would
to
like
add
to say?
something, Mansi.
Yeah, please go.
So, talking about rebukes and praises, I think like we work or we are conditioned in a manner that where we think of the reward or we think of the downfalls before moving ahead. So we are our conditioning is in that manner. But what the author is trying to say, this is just my opinion, that we should not be judging others. It should be judging for ourselves how we are performing or in that manner. But talking about others when he quoted that example that you were a good helper, instead of saying you we are judging is instead of that we can just pay gratitude saying thank you for the help. So we can just reframe that. Instead of judging, it is like being careful or being thoughtful about how we are talking about other person. This is basically interpersonal relationship issues, and those we can avoid by not judging others. Instead, you have to be in your own self, and if you are happy, express your feeling. If you are sad, express your own feeling. Instead of saying you did that, we can say I am not feeling happy or I am not satisfied with this. That way, we can just reframe the conversation. That is, I felt, I realized that this is what he is trying to say. Other thing that talking about vertical and horizontal relationships, it is, see, in our society it is quite different because we have been brought up with the values that we have to respect the elders whosoever it is. We have to respect the age, we have to respect the experience as well. If even a younger fellow with more experience, we have to treat them respectfully. So we have been the Indian society or our Indian values are quite different from the Western culture. They talk about equality. Maybe equality in gender is fine, but equality in age and experiences, I don't think, for myself, I don't agree to that. It has to be respected, and it gives a kind of respectful society, and people are able to manage. But when they are on the same platform, they have a competitive spirit. They become that equal. Equal means your experience is equal to mine, your knowledge is equal to mine. So there is no way where we are adjusting or we are trying to compromise or adjust with others. So if there is a feeling that okay, other person could have better thing with them or better experience, better knowledge, so we respect that thing. Their relationship issues don't arise much. But when we are on the same platform, that rift or that conflict arise. Maybe in our society we have been conditioned that way, that adjust and don't go for a conflict, instead adjust and compromise. Maybe by like going to the age or going to the experience, you have to do that. Maybe it is a different perspective because the author is promoting equality on, I really don't know how the book goes further, but this is what I felt, that in Indian society it is not a way we live on a horizontal basis. We are always on a vertical, that even the grandparents who are sick, who are not able to move, who are bedridden, they also hold value and we have to respect that. Similarly, a child, when a young, every child is not very bright, every child cannot reach to the top, everyone doesn't hold that position, and they cannot become first in everything. But every person has different quality, every person has different potential, every person has different abilities, because everyone is different. So what we have to understand is their qualities, their personality as an individual. We cannot compare them, and that is where judging comes in, and that is where equality comes in. No one is equal, everyone is different, and we cannot judge that. So that was my understanding.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I do agree. It is like we are more of a vertical society, and there are pros and cons to both of them. Yes, I do agree. So it's always about like what do you want to take from it and what you want to leave behind. Yeah, very well said. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Yeah, just one more thing on the same line. I feel that we should treat others as how we want to treat ourselves. You know, in so many books we listen to that. Uh, love is the highest form of you know uh, frequency, right? And with that regard and with that feeling of respect, you know, how you treat others like should be how you treat yourself to be like to be treated. So I think with that compassion and with that understanding, I think uh, we can do so many uh, good work and good deeds in so many unexpected ways. So we should always be at peace and be and treat others like the way we want ourselves to be treated. So with that love, compassion, and that feelings of uh, peace and it's just like is the highest frequency. Love and compassion is the highest frequency that we hold, and that way we can attract everything that we need to have to live a desired life, basically. So I think love and compassion plays a very important role in life, in every area of life. Thank you.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to add, or we can just call it a day? Okay, I think we are all done. See you all tomorrow then for the fifth night, the final chapter from the book, and let's see what it has to say and how the book is concluded. The concepts are very introspective, and we will reflect upon these things also, like whatever is given in the last page of the book. Let's reflect upon that, and then let's see how we can make the most of this book. Uh, yeah, no problem. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. See you all tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
It was
Thank
Thank you,
good to start
everyone.
sharp
Yeah.
and early today. Like we literally started at sharp 7. So let's make it a practice, and everyone please do join uh, at 7 sharp so we make the most of the time that we have. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great day.
you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Have a great day. Yeah, have a great day, everyone.